On today's episode of the Locked On Knicks podcast, is Jalen Brunson having the best postseason of anyone in the NBA? We get into that next on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's up, guys? You are Locked On Knicks, your daily podcast on the New York Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, bringing you the best daily Knicks content 5 days a week. And in reality, so much more. A bunch of bonus episodes of the weekend. Please subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform of choice to ensure you never miss an episode, because there have been about 20 a week of late. But who's doing them for you? I'm Gavin, Schall, your favorite play-by-play broadcaster's favorite play-by-play broadcaster, credentialed media member, covering the Knicks for about 8 years now. Time flies. And he is Alex Wolf, editor-in-chief of The Strickland, the greatest Knicks website in the whole wide world. You can check them out on all forms of social media over at thestrict.land. On today's show, we're lucky enough to be joined by Ariel Pacheco, a Strickland alum, one of the best doing it. Haven't talked to him in a while, so it was a real joy to catch up with him. And we are diving deep on what has made this postseason so special for Jalen Brunson, and then getting into Game 5 and just how easy will it be for the Knicks to end this series, or does Boston still have one more punch left in them? Without further ado, let's get into it right now with Ariel.
I actually wasn't able to watch live, so I caught it this morning. And man, like, I know it's not the same when you watch it live because it's like the drama is there, but just watching it though, like I could feel that, like, I don't know, it felt like the biggest game that the Knicks have played, like, that I probably ever watched. Dating back, I mean, last year we had Game 7, but it was a little, the moment died down after all the injuries. But it was crazy to watch, and it's crazy that we got here after like kind of like a weird up and down season.
Yeah, we talked about it a little last night, Alex. I think you're probably on the same page. Like I said, my 23 years now, which is a big number. I can't believe I'm saying that. Watching this team, biggest game, and I think in turn, the guy we're about to talk about, Jalen Brunson. I don't know, Alex, I'll throw it to you. Do you like? I think that probably has to be the biggest performance of his Knicks career, given the stakes.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you can look at any of the given games that he's had over the last few years, and I think it's just given what the stakes were, the fact that it puts him up 3-1 on the defending champs, and I mean, obviously now we'll talk about it a little more later. Like, now confirmed, like, Tatum has a torn Achilles tendon. That's like a huge blow to Boston. Really sucks for him. Like, I hope he has a good recovery and everything. But like, I mean, more or less, I don't want to say it was a clincher. Like, I don't want to jinx it, but like, it was as close as you can get, to delivering the final blow to the defending champs. And I think, we said it last night, Tatum injury or not, I think they were going to win that game regardless. So, the fact that he was able to do what he did, create the way that he did. We've gone over the fourth quarter scoring, although maybe this is the first thing to kind of highlight here. I saw a stat today, I think it was from Tommy Beer. Jalen Brunson becomes the first player with over 100 points in fourth quarters in the first 10 games of a playoffs since Kobe Bryant did it twice during the Lakers three-peat. It was 0-1 and 0-3. That he was able to do, or I guess 0-3.
No, you were right about that. And you want to hear a crazy twist on that from Adam Silverstein?
Mm-hmm.
Since 97, he's now scored the most fourth quarter points through 10 games of any player in that whole stretch,
which is absolutely insane. I mean, to have that level of clutch scoring ability. I mean, the next closest guy in fourth quarter scoring is 40 points behind him right now. In the NBA, it just kind of underscores what all he's been able to do. And, you can highlight I would have said prior to this game and this series, probably the biggest thing that he had done in the postseason would have been last year, the consecutive 40-point games to put away the Sixers. Maybe equally as impressive. Doesn't matter. It's like picking your favorite pizza, right? Like bacon on pizza is great. Pepperoni on pizza is great. It's all pizza. It's all delicious. Like, everything that Brunson is giving you right now is phenomenal. But Ariel, what stood out to you in terms of Brunson this postseason, what he's been able to do? I mean, I've always admired the way that you look at the game and the way that you're able to see what goes on the floor procedurally. Like, to me, it's just kind of looked like Brunson at the highest level executing what he does. Obviously, we talk about it ad nauseum, but Tibbs kind of just puts him in positions where he's constantly having to just create things. And I mentioned last night, what's been impressive to me has been his growth as like a floor general in this postseason, like the way that he's, I guess, having to embrace what Tibbs, wants out of him, which is for him to be the leading guy on the floor at any given time. And then the way that he's directing traffic, the way that he's sort of like calling the game live, like calling guys over for screens, directing guys to whatever corner, just kind of running the game. I feel like he's reached a new level with that, and that reached a new level in that game 4 win against the Celtics as well. But what's kind of stood out to you as far as what's been working for Brunson during this crazy, awesome clutch postseason?
I echo everything you just said. Like, I don't think I could have said it any better. I think he has like the super calming effect. Whether it's like late in the fourth quarter, and you're gonna get a good shot, you're gonna get a quality look every like possession in the final 5 minutes of any close game, no matter the opponent, no matter the defense, whether he's getting doubled, whether teams are trapping. He just always seems to make the right decision. And what I really like about Brunson is that, I don't know, I feel like in the past 3 seasons, the past 3 playoffs, each kind of playoffs, we've kind of seen a little bit different in terms of like the roster around him. But his performance has always remained the same. I think he's sometimes been put in not the best situations, and he still finds a way to, shine, especially in the biggest moments. I think that one thing that I really liked about the last game, game 4, specifically, was I think he got off ball a little bit more, and we saw Bridges handle it a little more, which I like, just because I think he expends a lot of energy, like bringing the ball up. With the Pistons, we're seeing with the Celtics, where teams are pressuring him full court, and I think that it's just exhausting, especially when you consider that like he's switching more on defense too. Like he was getting on Tatum, he has been switching on Brown. But that's another thing that I think probably we don't talk about enough, is just like his conditioning. Like he battles on both ends, and he's taking charges, he's battling, he's physical. So yeah, it's just like a general like appreciation like for what we're witnessing. And he's also like, and it's always said, but at his size, it just makes it all the more impressive. And I think people have, especially in the past, I think people are waking up to it, that like his size is like, in a weird way, is kind of an advantage for him. The way he's able to like play in super tight spaces, I think that's kind of his superpower, in that like, yeah, teams are doubling, they're sending help, they're sending help from the gap, and it doesn't matter because he has another pivot in his bag that he can get to, that gives him the slight bit of open space he needs to create a shot. So yeah, just a great appreciation for what he's doing. He's special.
It's crazy that, like, I mean, one, he's doing all this on a bum ankle that seems to get hurt every game, and like he just comes back, so we don't talk about it because it doesn't look like he's hurt, but he's clearly hurt. Like I don't think he's one to really exaggerate that. Two, like the level of usage and like I know this is something I don't want to speak for you guys. It's something I take for granted. Like the fact that he just doesn't turn the ball over. Like I saw our guy Jonathan Macri like tweeted out like in postseason history, the guys with 39 points, 12 assists, 1 or less turnovers. Nikola Jokić has done it once. LeBron James has done it once. Jalen Brunson has done it once. And that is the whole list. And that is with like ridiculous usage against incredibly good defensive guards. To your point on him being small, just like I watched the third quarter back right before we started this, and he is just like a running back. Like I look at that play where he got the offensive rebound at the free throw line, just like squeezes through Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, and just finds like these tight lanes. And it was kind of the first time all series that like we've seen him just consistently get all the way downhill, all the way to the rim, and then just in one quarter to be able to show off the full bag, right? Like that. We got the mid-range game. We got the threes, like sneakily, like the single biggest difference for him. And maybe the only reason the Knicks are even, it's regardless of the Tatum injury, like up and in position to end this series, is because he went from 33% from 3 against the Pistons to 41% against the Celtics. Maybe that's as simple as the ankle being a little healthier, but that is still such a big difference. And then the final thing that just in this game stood out to me is how he attacked Al Horford, and the fact that like, I thought this was like Derek White had some great efforts against him, but when White was guarding him, he had already gotten to a rhythm because like over and over again, he was able to go at Al, and like Al was moving his feet, I think, a lot better at the beginning of this series because he just didn't have any chance of sticking with Brunson. Like that first shot after they went down by 14, it was like a dribble handoff from Josh Hart. Horford just went into like a deep drop, and Brunson was like, all right, and banged a three. And then from there it was on. Like, he's driving by him for layups, driving at him for spray outs. And it didn't feel like Drew Holiday earlier in the series. They were basically just ignoring Josh Hart in game 3. They were like plowing over him and like getting through that screen. And in this game, they like conceded the switch, and that let Jalen get going. And by the time Derek White's saying like, screw this, I'm sticking with him no matter what, it was already like Alex sort of too late at that point, and Brunson was in a rhythm. And that's when you see like the like pivot, like fade over the right shoulder, and like him getting into the lane, and like just like the circus shots start going down, and like the late 3 over Jaylen Brown. And it feels like once this guy gets into a rhythm, like you just assume he's not going to miss, and he doesn't. And it's inexplicable. It's amazing. All right, guys, we'll be back with Ariel in just a sec to continue talking through Jalen Brunson, diving even a little bit deeper on what's made him so special this postseason and in postseasons past. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Wayfair. The days are getting longer, the weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space, whether you're working with a big backyard or a small balcony. Wayfair's everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup, from comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor. They've got it all, and at prices that fit your budget. I love the mix of styles they offer. Wayfair makes it super easy to find pieces that match your vibe without spending a fortune. If you are stylistically inept like me and have a limited budget, it is seriously the way to go, because you'll find everything you need. And to top it off, the delivery is free and hassle-free, even for the big stuff. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's there's just something about when, and it's indescribable. It's like an intangible quality that he possesses that allows him to make those shots. Like, I don't, because the weird thing is that from a fan perspective, you can go and you can watch him have one of the games where, honestly, he'll have games where, like, for the first 3 quarters, he kind of stinks it up a little bit. Like, he'll be like 3 for 16 or whatever, and like you kind of just, you go into that fourth quarter, and then you get to the point where he has the chance to win the game, and you're kind of just always sure that he's going to make it. And his field goal percentage in fourth quarters, underscores that. I think his true shooting is like well over 60% in fourth quarters right now, or something like that. I mean, it's just something about when the fourth quarter kicks in, this guy just makes all of his shots. I don't know how to quantify it, or to even begin to get into like what allows that to happen. But it's special what we're seeing. I think that it's like it's just at this point something we just have to sit there and appreciate. Like, I don't know, I had this very, like, after the Knicks went up 2-0, I was like out with people watching that game, whatever, and I had like this very like maybe it was just the long drive home or whatever, but I had this whole experience where I was just like, man, I should really appreciate what's going on a little more right now. Like, it's a lot of good happening right now for a team that's been a lot of bad for like my whole life. And the Brunson experience is definitely that too, where it's like, for as much as, I mean, look, I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to like crap on Carmelo Anthony or whatever, but like, for as great as, like, that was sort of my, my Knicks fan renaissance was like the Melo era, like where I was an adult, like I kind of had my own time that I could spend. I had my own TV that I could control. It wasn't like back when I was a kid when like I had to fight my parents to be able to like watch, what I wanted to watch on TV or whatever. Like I could spend my time watching what I wanted to. And like, the like Pacer series then was, felt so huge, and that felt like that was like the top of the mountain. And for so long, Gavin, I know you and I, and I'm sure you, Ariel, too, held that in such high esteem in our heads of like, oh man, that was really the golden years, like, or that was like a golden time as a Knicks fan. That was like the best thing you could hold on to, was like a 6-game exit in the second round of the playoffs, like, which is crazy. But to now be in this position where, look, I don't want to say it's a shoo-in or anything, but being so close to the Eastern Conference Finals with Jalen Brunson, like for the first time, probably. Ariel, how old are you again?
I'm 27.
You're 27. So I mean, yeah, oh, for sure. So like, I mean,
Yeah.
you're 8 years younger than I am. Like, it's for all three of us, and for so many people in our general age demographic, this is the closest that we've ever come to experiencing like the 90s Knicks like lore type stuff. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. So yeah, it's with the Brunson experience, I'm just like trying to appreciate it all, because it's so much of it goes beyond numbers and beyond what we could possibly understand, other than what goes on in this guy's head and what allows him to be like just the most cold-blooded human on planet Earth playing basketball right now.
Yeah, I guess to that point, Ariel, like I asked, we had Benji Ritholtz on the other week, and we had a quick discussion about this, but I wouldn't even mind stretching it out a little bit. Like, I mean, what is the list that he's on right now relative to like the other best closers in the NBA? Because statistically, you look at him and he's clearly like for like 3 years now. I mean, maybe Luka is the one other guy I would put with him just because he's been so ridiculous. Like Kawhi, when he's fully healthy, though, this year Kawhi certainly was not on the level Brunson's been on in fourth quarters. Like it is this weird thing where I feel like I come out of every playoffs and I go on Twitter and I'm like, I'm going to be bold. And I'm like, this guy's like a top 6 or 7 player in the league. And then I watch the regular season and I see Donovan Mitchell, how amazing he is. I see how amazing Shea is. I see how amazing Luka is. And I'm like, all right, like Jalen is just like a step below those dudes. And then it's like I get smacked in the face with what he does in the playoffs again. And like, it just feels like he is like, and it's hard because like once you incorporate defense in the conversation, which obviously you have to, like maybe that makes it a little more complicated because a lot of those guys are not weaknesses on the other end of the floor the way he is, but like purely as an offensive threat, like is it 1 or 2 guys you'd be more confident with the ball in their hands? Like I don't want to be biased, but it's hard to make an argument against Jalen Brunson, who's just like flat out one of the dudes in the NBA at this point in these situations, and in turn, the Knicks end up winning a lot of playoff games.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it's hard to not have him at least in the conversation. Like, he certainly, I would, for my money, would put him like first above most people. Like, I mean, we watched it for like I mentioned earlier. Like, this is third straight playoff series or season that we've watched him, and the performance is consistent, regardless of the opponent, regardless of his teammates. He's the one steady factor in all of this. I throw Jokić in there as well, even though he's kind of struggling in this particular series against the Thunder. But just like historically, he's been one of those guys. And I think you touched on something that was kind of interesting about like how in the regular season, certain guys like stand out a little bit more than maybe Brunson. You think of like defense and stuff. I think the one thing that like really heightens, and it's kind of obvious, but I think it's worth mentioning that like tough shot making and constantly being able to create when you're going up against the best defenses, and they've spent weeks, or days, like literally game planning to your weaknesses and still being able to execute that. I think that's what makes Brunson so special, like particularly in the playoffs. And I think that's why his skill set shines so much in the playoffs. And while like other guys while like on a night-to-night basis, when there's a little bit less game planning and there's a little less of a concentration from the opponent on a night-to-night basis, I do think that like maybe that tough shot making isn't as valuable during the regular season, but I do think that it kicks up another level in the playoffs, especially the farther up you go in the in the playoffs. Like once you get to the finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals, like it really just becomes that much more important. But I do, for my money, I would put Brunson up against anyone down the stretch of any game. It's hard not to at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm at the same level. I mean, it's just like you look at what first off the results of how well he shoots and everything, but like also how many guys can create a shot at any level, and then you could feel as confident that he can make it. Like I agree, I would probably put Jokić in the conversation, right? But like so much of what Jokić does, like I don't want, obviously Jokić can create shots and he creates them for himself and for others all the time. But if you've got like 5 seconds left on the clock and you have to inbound it to Jokić and he's tasked with like, hey, get like a 3 dribble crossover on someone and try to create a little space and make a 3-pointer. I actually think ironically, I probably would say like, oh, they'd probably look for Murray in that situation. Like, I think that's, and I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't know if I put this take out on our podcast that often because we just talk about the Knicks for the most part, but like undisputedly, Jokić is the best player on the planet right now. Like top to bottom in terms of overall as a basketball player, he's the best guy that you want over the course of a 48-minute game, I think, like, I mean, he's nonsensical, the stuff that he does on a night-to-night basis. But, in terms of just the clutch time stuff, I think it's Brunson. I mean, it's just, I look at, there's so many other guys, but so many other guys with spotty track records, right? Like, I mean, it's like, you don't know if you can fully count on that out of anyone else in the league for the most part. And other guys have the skill set to create the shots. But, previously, ironically, two of the guys that I think I would have previously put as one of the highest on this list are on the same team right now, which is Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. But I think we've just seen over the years, Steph, I'm not saying that he doesn't make the clutch shots anymore, but it's just not as potent as it once felt. And same with Jimmy Butler. I just feel like Sutton is, it's probably just age. They're both like 30, 35, 36 years old, whatever. Like, it happens. Maybe you could have put like other guys. It's so easy for guys to stand out when they've done it in like the huge moments, but like Durant, maybe at his best, and maybe that's still one of the guys that I would consider to be in that general range. Although again, recent results are not quite as kind to him. Giannis, as far as just like the ability to fully take over a game and win you a game, we've seen that in the finals, but with the last shot, game on the line type stuff, I don't know if I put him there. I think that like fourth quarter number is not a fluke. The fact that he's outscoring guys by 40 points over the course of this postseason in the fourth quarter, I just think that he is the guy that you can most reliably say like is going to get you what you need at the end of a game and can create whatever type of shot you need, whether it's getting the ball and having to sauce someone up, create a three, whether it's having to get to the mid range and create something there, whether it's even, I mean, we saw it in the one game where, he had the opportunity to win the game on the final possession and took it off ball and kind of like ran and got a quick cut and then got inside and created a great look, which was part Tibbs drawing up a really good ATO play at the end of the game there too. But it's like he could do everything because he's played every role in the league. And, whether you want him to catch and shoot, which almost never happens, but he could do that in theory, or whether
he had it off the heart pin down, like where like he ran across, faked White out of his shoes and hit it like that. That was a big basket.
That's true. Yeah. But they don't often go to that for like the last shot of the game.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to do that off like when everyone's focused on you. Too.
Exactly. But that's the benefit of having played with Luka for the first number of years of his career, which we talk about all the time, the off ball movement, whatever. It's just, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I've got, it's like Jalen Brunson and then like a large delta and then anyone else I would want in close game scenarios at this point. He's proven himself to be that good at this point. All right, we'll be right back in with Ariel to finish our conversation talking Game 5 preview. What can the Knicks do to close out the Boston Celtics? Is it going to be a cakewalk even without Jayson Tatum? Probably not. So we're going to talk about things that could go wrong potentially and things the Knicks should be ready for to try to close this thing out in 5 games. But first, I want to let you know about our friends over at Car Gurus. And shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting. But between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel overwhelming. That's why I love using Car Gurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace in the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. And look, I'm in the market for a car right now. I have one that I've got my eye on. I'm finally, now that the used market is kind of treating it well, I'm kind of looking to get a Rivian. I like those cars a lot. I want to switch to an EV. But it's been a lot of shopping around, trying to find the right price. And there's been no better place than Car Gurus. And I'm checking it like almost every day to see if the listing of my dreams pops up. Maybe someday, hopefully by the summer, I'd love to get that and be able to go camping or something. It would be a lot of fun. But it's no wonder that SimilarWeb estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site because they have the most robust selection for you to check and find your next dream car. So buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.com, cargurus.com.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll note on that, and then we can move on to more general stuff. Like his his ability to like play out of a post up all the time, which is something like he's been quoted in interviews talk about, and we saw like a lot in that Pistons series. Like it for someone who physically does not look like an NBA player, he is like extraordinarily like physically dominant. You see it, like, I mean, he like dog walked Drew Holiday to the rim for a layup, like like to start last game, like consistently against Derek White, like able to get to his spot, and then he knows, to Ariel's point, like he wins on such like thin margins, like you see like fading that extra inch so you can get away from White, who's one of the best shot blocking guards, like not right now, like literally to ever play this game. And over again, he's not Mikal Bridges, right? He's not 6'7", where he can just shoot over him. Like he's able to like find that extra inch and still get it to go. And it just, I think like the summation of what we're all saying is like, it is a testament to like years and years and years of incredibly hard work, probably some borderline child abuse from Rick Brunson, based on the videos we've seen, but like it got him to this point. And just like that, plus an elite mindset, plus an incredible amount of ability, like has led to this guy who, like, we all looked at when we got him and we're like, all right, like he's going to be a good player for the Knicks. And we almost didn't take what he did in that one playoff run with Dallas, like without Luka, seriously enough. And it turns out, no, like that wasn't a fluke. Like that's just who this guy was going to be going forward. And it gives the Knicks, like, this was sort of our takeaway coming out of the playoffs last year. Like, they do have a number one scorer on a championship team. Does he need maybe more installation than like LeBron in his prime, because he's not also like one of the best defenders in the league? Sure. But like offensively, like there are no real questions. There are no real weaknesses there. And that is like the number one thing you could have in the NBA. And when you throw in the fact that guy took $115 million off the top of his contract to make sure that he had that help, like it is a uniquely great position that the Knicks are in. But Ariel, where's your head at going into Game 5? Because I was thinking about this a lot today. My gut is saying that this is over and that the Knicks are going to come out and are going to roll them, and Boston is going to be defeated, and the Knicks are going to kick their butts. The Knicks have not handled success well this season. They have not handled success well this postseason, certainly. Boston is still a very good team. I watched them here in Phoenix beat the Suns by 40, and it could have been 70 without Jayson Tatum, and they made about 15 threes in the first 5 minutes of that game. They're still deadly. They're still talented. They still have a great defense, and they're going to come out pissed off. Like, what are your expectations for Game 5? And off the top of your head, like, what are like the key adjustments and battlegrounds that are going to decide it?
Yeah, I think the important thing to know is that they are still a very dangerous team, and I think just from a momentum standpoint, it would be awesome to just like for the Knicks to put their foot on the gas and just end the series here, get a little bit of rest. I'm not sure what the score is for the Cavs Pacers right now.
It got close. Cleveland was way up, and now it's like a 4-point game. Indiana's up by 9 with 1 minute left in the third quarter as we record this. Everyone watching will know the result. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So especially like if Indiana's able to close that out, you want to also be able to close that out. You don't want to drag on a series and have to play a Game 6 or even a Game 7. But just from a tactical standpoint, I still would like to see the Knicks kind of stick to their defensive principles that they have in this series. I still want to see them switch. I would like to see them avoid the drop. I actually think the switching becomes even more tenable because Tatum was I think Tatum and Brown were the only two guys that were really punishing the switches consistently. So that's just one less guy that Boston has as a ball handler, which I think they sneakily kind of struggle with. Like in terms of getting into the paint, they don't have a guy that's consistently getting into the paint. And even though Tatum's been pretty pull-up happy, like I think he is one of their better options when it comes to that. But I think just knowing Mazzulla and the way he's coached since he's taken over Boston, I think they'll probably try to get up more threes and just try to get a lot of variance in. And the question will be kind of similar to like how games 1 and 2 went versus Game 3 and even Game 4 is the quality of those threes. Are they going to be the sort of tough pull-up threes that the Knicks are contesting? Or is it going to be like open corner threes that where the Knicks are in rotation? I'd actually expect the Knicks to be in rotation even less now because they have one less guy who can rotate the Knicks defense with Tatum out. So yeah, like I think that as long as the Knicks execute and do what they're supposed to do, they should win the series and hopefully end it in 5 games. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if like the Celtics have one more like hot shooting game left in them. So I would be wary of kind of jumping the gun and start looking ahead to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I would hope, and knowing just Tibbs and the way he's coached since he's been here, I expect him to come out prepared. That's kind of been his MO since he's been here, and it's one of the qualities that I do appreciate that he has brought to the Knicks since he's been here.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to mail it in either or anything. I mean, I can't foresee a world where, knowing that they have this closeout opportunity, having Tibbs as the coach, and knowing that Tatum's not going to be playing, that they don't come out and just say, let's finish this thing. Especially because, not for nothing, they've been playing better on the road than they have at home this whole postseason. And the only times where I've really watched them and thought, you guys look kind of lazy, like, has been at home. It's in, like, that's been where they've been kind of resting on their laurels. And on the road, they've been just like absolute balls to the wall the whole game, every single game, throughout the postseason so far. So I'm with you. I think that the ball handling is going to be potentially concerning for Boston in this game. I think that they're going to have to try to maybe rely on Drew Holiday more, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that he's kind of lost a step at this point in terms of being like a primary ball handler. Like, he doesn't look it. Obviously, he still has the craft and whatever, but he doesn't seem to have that explosive first step anymore like he used to, like way back when. I still always, I mean, if we're talking about 12-13 season, reminiscing a bit, that during that season I went and saw him that one game when the Sixers were like pretty bad and the Knicks should have rolled them, and he just like went into the paint over and over and over and just dominated them that one game. That was when I happened to be in Philly watching them. Like, we're a long time past that at this point. I think that's going to be tough if they have to rely on that from him in excess. And then it's like, are you going to rely on Brown? I think that Brown is pretty reliant on the fact that like Tatum is able to tilt the defense and not have it be exposed that like he still doesn't really have an offhand. He's not fantastic unless he's able to go the way that he wants to. So I think that the Knicks will be more able to expose that, especially if they're able to now say, oh, well, now we'll just put OG on him instead because the best defender on the team just opened up. They can now either have OG play free safety and, just cause disruptions that way, or they can have him just on Brown or on whoever they deem the biggest threat again, and then let Mikal Bridges kind of play free safety or stick to Derek White or whatever. Their options get so much better now, I think. And couple that with the fact that like Porzingis is having just a horrible series. I think that he hasn't shown anything this entire season, and clearly, he's dealing with his illness or whatever. But like last game, he said that he thought he felt the best. He didn't make any shots. Like, he played the most minutes, but he didn't make any shots, and pretty much only succeeded at pulling guys' arms all game. That was like his go-to move the entire time. It wasn't making shots at all. So I'm not super worried about him. The volume for other guys is kind of dependent on, in a lot of ways, what Tatum is able to create. I mean, they're even in the bad games for Tatum in this series, or the relatively bad games, he was still getting up 20 shot attempts every game. That they're very reliant on him being a key fixture of this offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adjust without him. I know the numbers are favorable without him. I think I saw a stat today that like without Tatum, over the last 2 years, they're like 15-3 or something like that. Like it's a pretty solid number. So they'll still play well. And Ariel, I'm with you. I think that the X factor here is like if they're able to generate a lot of really good threes still, or if they just have, I mean, we've seen Derek White with a hand in his face can make a three against anybody. He's got that long wingspan. He's a killer 3-point shooter. Al Horford, if he's left wide open, can punish you from three. All these guys kind of have their ways about them where they can just get hot from three. Peyton Pritchard too. I should shout him out. I mean, he annoys me, but he's kind of in some ways like a good shooting TJ McConnell, which is a pretty scary player at times. So, there's a chance that they pull this out, but I do think that there is a much greater chance that the Knicks are able to just kind of apply the principles that have worked for them in the 3 wins, as far as the switching and just making sure that guys have someone on them at all times and make the threes difficult. And as long as they do that, hopefully they run into a scenario where it'll be similar to the first game, where the Celtics can shoot all the threes they want, but they might not necessarily be good looks. And, I think if the Knicks can just kind of shut the valve off and keep them out of the paint, they have a good chance of pulling it off.
Yeah, I echo everything you guys say. The only thing I'll note is like we did obviously just see game 3, which was essentially statistically a closeout game for the Knicks, and they didn't really show up. We saw game 5 against the Pistons, which to Alex's point was at home, and they didn't really show up. So I still somehow 90 plus games in just do not have a great beat for this team, because I thought what we saw yesterday was like, again, I've said it a million times, but like that first half against Oklahoma City, I think is the only other time this team has played on that level for 24 minutes. Like if they get anywhere closer to 48, they should beat Boston pretty cleanly, but we still need proof of concept on that. I'm curious if the Celtics are going to start blitzing Brunson a little bit more. I think anytime Josh Hart is involved in the action, they should do it every single time and dare Hart to like make shots and not beat them as like a playmaker in 4-on-3s. And we saw Boston do that in past seasons, but we have not seen them do it at all really in this playoffs, or they will like hedge and recover, but linger, but like rarely like just straight up blitz him. They, to Alex's point, need like a much better game from Jrue Holiday defensively, because I thought he was the one guy who just made things like extremely tough on Brunson, and he was kind of absent last game, and they went with White down the stretch guarding him. They could use Peyton Pritchard taking and making a lot of threes. And then to both of your points, like just be consistent in the principles defensively. Like the Knicks have been torched pretty much every time Brunson tries to hedge and recover. Like just make it a switch. It is so much easier with no Tatum to switch. To Alex's point, to both of your points, like OG can help a little bit more now off of Brown than he could off of Tatum. Like I just think that is so obvious to me. And then the final thing is like, I'm curious how long Mitchell Robinson can go, right? Because like we've seen like the double big lineup is plus 16, but I pulled up the 2-man groups. Like you put Mitch with anyone, him and Hart plus 27 net rating in 48 minutes in this series. Him and Bridges in 71 minutes this series, plus 24. Him and Brunson in 59 minutes this series, plus 22. Like I could go on and on. Mitchell Robinson's on the floor. Good things happen for the Knicks. The Celtics, especially with the current state that KP's in, just do not have any kind of answer for him on the glass. So I'm hoping they continue to lean into that. And hopefully all three of us are celebrating tomorrow night. But until then, Ariel, before I let you go, buddy, can you tell everyone where they can find all your great work? And unless you have any final thoughts on anything Alex and I just said.
Last thing I'll just say is like I'd be a little bit more afraid of Boston in this moment. I feel like Brown isn't 100% healthy for what it's worth. Like I don't think he's moved as well. Like he's not getting to the rim as much as I feel like he normally does.
He did have the knee issue
also
coming into the playoffs, and like I think Missoula had a quote like, "Yeah, it is what it is," kind of like the Tibbs thing. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So like I do think that like if he was like healthy, I'd be a little more like worried. And also like obviously Alex touched on the Porzingis illness. I think that's clearly like hampered his play this postseason. I just think that they're kind of just super banged up, and like this is the perfect like getaway game for the Knicks to like take advantage. But yeah, if you guys want to hear more from me, you can just follow me on Twitter at @Pacheco NBA.
All right. Cannot recommend that follow enough. I've been saying it for years, but Ariel will make you smarter Knicks fan, smarter basketball fan. But until next time, he's Alex, he's Ariel. We'll talk to you soon on Locked On Knicks.